Thank you for joining us on the Ultimate Leadership Podcast. And here's your host, Chris Cebollero.
Well, here it is once again. It's time for the Ultimate Leadership Podcast. I got to tell you, man, what a great day it is. And everybody out there, I want to thank you for joining us once again. Keep those letters coming in, those emails coming in. You've got some great suggestions. I'll tell you, my folks have got some really great content that's being developed. And we're going to start to see a little bit of change. You know, we're kind of coming to you like every couple weeks, every 3 weeks or so, and we're bringing experts in the field who are really trying to give you that expertise on moving your leadership development. We're going to start to come to you weekly, and as we bring those great guests, we're going to have some just content. I'm going to have some discussions with you, and I'm going to start to teach you. People are saying to me, "Hey, Chris, when are you going to start just talking about leadership and sharing your expertise?" And I'm going to take those emails to heart, and I'm going to start breaking those things out now and giving you maybe 5 tips or the things that you need to know about those topics, whatever it is. But you're going to start to see a change come May 1st, and I'm really excited for it. But it's because of you that we're changing our format, and I certainly appreciate that. One of the things that we hear all the time is, as a coach, and, think about our role now as leaders. And we do a lot of coaching, but there's people out there who are trying to take their leadership skill and move it into a coaching business, or moving into to learn the skill of coaching. And so I thought it'd be really great to find somebody who could come here and talk about how to build your coaching business online. And I got to tell you, I've got a really great guest for you. And coming all the way from the other side of the world, that's right, the other side of the world, we had to plan this special just so we can get the time right, is Alex Braganza. Alex, how you doing? Come on in here, say hello to the audience.
Hi, Chris. Thank you very much for inviting me. Been really looking forward to being part of your podcast and speaking to your audience.
I got to tell you, when you agreed to come on, you were the answer to all these emails to say, how are we going to get this information to everyone, Alex? So I want to thank you. And we are kind of on the other side of the world. It's early morning where I am. You're getting ready to end your day where you are, and you're in Dubai.
Yeah, exactly. So we're 5 p.m. We're just coming up to past 5 p.m. right now. So ending our day. And yeah, that's great to be kind of speaking to you from the US.
And it's going to be great when I come to Dubai. I'll have a place to stay, so I'll just know that.
I'll be definitely there, Chris.
So Alex, let me ask you this: for the folks who may not know who you are, maybe just a little bit about your background, who you are, before we get into the discussion about coaching.
Sure. So several years ago, I started a job site called Career Intelligence, and that was a job site for senior C-level executives who are looking to kind of find or relocate to the emerging markets. From that, we kind of getting a lot of leaders, C-level executives who are looking for help with their careers and advice for career transition, career moves, how to go into the recruitment market. And basically what we realized was having executive coaches working with them would really kind of help them achieve their goals. And so what we started to do is start looking for coaches. Now, we couldn't find any coaches locally that were kind of qualified to deal with this sort of level of executive. So we started searching in the UK and started connecting them with Skype to clients in the Middle East, in the Far East, and in Asia. And then basically from that, we kind of really saw that there's a huge demand for these kind of executive coaches from C-level executives, but no way to reach them. But video was serving that purpose. It was connecting them with kind of coaches that they were unable to reach earlier, and they were also getting the kind of level of quality of coaching that they needed, although it wasn't a face-to-face meeting, it was a video meeting. So from that, the idea of Expertise TV came up, which is basically a platform that allows any coach to kind of to find clients anywhere in the world and then deliver coaching to those clients. And that's really kind of where we are now.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I am one of those individuals that use Expertise TV, and we'll talk a little bit about that towards the end. But Alex, I really want to kind of hone in on that expertise you have. You've spent time really kind of, I guess, making your expertise in how a coach can interact with their clients and really give them what they need, regardless of where they are in the world. So I think my first question to you is, what's the biggest misconception about a coach use their skill using the internet as a tool for coaching? Because one of the things that I've always heard is people are saying, you want to get face-to-face. It's really important that you get face-to-face with them. But in this digital age, is that truly where we need to be?
I strongly believe that isn't. I mean, I myself get coached via the platform from a leadership coach, and how it's helped me has been enormous. I mean, you only have to try it yourself to realize how much you can gain by using video. You're able to access people that you aren't able to access normally, and really that access, and it's not they don't need to travel to you, you don't need to travel to them. The range of people you can reach, you can communicate with, is really the strongest advantage. But I mean, I'd probably, going back to your question, what I'd probably say is the biggest misconception that we see repeatedly is where coaches think they can find clients. Very, very frequently, people are very kind of, well, no, my client wouldn't be, say, for example, on Facebook, or my client, was only on LinkedIn and so on. So the big misconception is that these platforms now, like Facebook, Instagram, they're so ubiquitous with everyone in society that you can actually find your new clients in these platforms. Although at first thought you think, no, that's not a business place. That wouldn't be the right place for me to kind of find my new clients.
And I think that's one of the things that, people have that big misconception about. I really like how you put a bow on that. So let's say that I have a coaching business, and I do here in St. Louis, and I have folks around the United States that I coach with. But let's say I wanted to go ahead and branch out now and try to, build an online coaching business. Could you give me a couple of tips of, what do I got to do to make that transition to a digital platform?
Okay, so it all really starts with content. So it's the content is the key to the whole transition to online. It's such a noisy place. There's so many different people kind of vying for other people's attention that you need to really work out what is the problem that you're solving. Who is your target? Who's your ideal client? Who is the client that you can help the most with your coaching? And what is the biggest problem that they have? It has to be something that is in their top 3 priority list, something that they're thinking about frequently in their life, in their career, and that is the kind of area that you need to then focus your content around. So you then want to build a lot of content, and mix up the medium, so video, live video, recorded video, written, really kind of be free with how you express how you can demonstrate that you can help people with that problem. And then once you have that content available, it's about distributing that content to those people that are looking for that sort of help. And then that's how you start building your audience. And then once your audience starts believing in you as someone that can help them, because they are taking on board the advice from you that you're creating in your content, as soon as they see that you're actually having an impact in their lives and helping them achieve what their priorities are, they then are very keen to kind of develop that relationship with you. And you just have to make it easy for them to take that next step and become your client.
So really, one of the things that you're doing is, just because you have a reputation as a coach in your area, meaning where you geographical area, you need to kind of set that blueprint out for the rest of the folks that are out there who may not know who you are. Just because you have a cool website or you have a podcast or whatever that is, doesn't necessarily mean they understand who you are. And you want to be able now to set yourself out as an expert in whatever niche it is that you're focusing your coaching business on.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I mean, it's really about setting yourself apart from the noise that's out there, and then making sure that you're really targeting the people. I mean, and that's really the beauty of everything online now. I mean, the big change over the last, I've been working with online businesses in online kind of business from over 10 years now, and the change now is that it's so much easier for just an individual to kind of target people that are looking for their sort of help. So that ability was never available before. It was available to larger companies. If you had, you had to have a lot of money to invest in technology to kind of get that sort of power. But it's almost like a superpower is being provided now, because technology has moved that much more forward, that individuals have access to these tools and essentially are able to do things that they wouldn't be able to do a few years ago. And therefore the kind of reality of building a business without a huge amount of resources is now kind of true, which is like the big advantage. And that's why you're seeing so many startups coming, in other fields. It's just because the tools that you need to do that now are so much more readily available and affordable than what they used to be, say, 5 years ago.
And we're starting to see those, those companies that are popping up, and it seems that we're moving away from the, from the books, and we're going to digital, and we're reading, and really everything's really happening online now. But so let me ask you this question about the content. I mean, when you talked about to develop this content, should it be audio content, video content? Should it be a blog? I mean, so as we now start to develop this content to set ourselves out as an expert in this area, what do you really suggest we work on?
Well, I think the next biggest challenge is starting. I think what we see all the time with our own clients is they want to do it. They've got the skills to do it. They've got everything they need to do it, but making that step is the biggest hurdle. So I would probably recommend, if I was talking to someone that's just starting out, pick whatever you're most comfortable with to begin with, and then get used to developing content. I mean, I myself kind of started off writing posts because that was, I'm not particularly kind of extrovert when it comes to like video and things like that. And then slowly I then moved to video, and then, so you kind of slowly build up to it. But my recommendation would start whatever kind of suits you most of all, what you're most comfortable with. Get used to creating content regularly. So aim to do something like twice a week. And then once you feel confident that you're kind of talking about the kind of right sort of topic, you can at that stage move to a different medium that you're maybe not so familiar with.
Yeah, I think that's really great advice. So, here's one of the challenges I had, Alex, when I first started off in this, new area of being online is, so I had content. I needed to change it a little bit as I now wanted to put it online by itself. But how do you get it out there? I mean, how do people really find that, learning this internet marketing? I mean, it really was a challenge now to try to get this content that I had out for people to find. And, what tips do you have for that to get people to find you?
Okay, well, so then you've got like a couple of approaches, and it really depends about the speed of results that you want to see, and again, what resources you have available. So you've got two approaches to distribute your content. One approach is the paid approach, where you can for relatively low cost nowadays, you can do campaigns on LinkedIn or Facebook or other kind of platforms like that, where you can really target groups that, based on the sort of kind of influences that they are following, and basically work out from that if they would be interested in your sort of coaching. So that's a kind of paid route. And then the most I'm saying this obviously from expertise TV's point of view, but the most compelling content that gets the strongest conversion rates is live content. The idea that people are able to watch you live has got magic to it that no other kind of format has. And that's the same with that's been something true for many, many years. And there's live will always attract more conversions than anything else. So we strongly recommend you run a webinar, and that will kind of talking about the subject, and that will really bring people in who are just curious to see what will happen on the live event. There's also organic ways to kind of drive traffic to your content, and that's like using forums. Like Quora is a very good forum where people are asking questions all the time, and you can post your answers. And the beauty about Quora is because it ranks so well in Google, every time someone searches on Google for that problem, Quora is one of the top results. So you're going to get a lot of visibility from that, but then you just have to be a bit more patient with how long, because you have to first of all build up a reputation on Quora and then wait for the traffic to start coming to your answers. So they're the two main approaches, but it's relatively straightforward once you get going.
Yeah, and I think that you made it sound easy, but one of those things is now you've got to actually do that. And I didn't think about the live content. So, webinars I think are really, really important as they now start to outline your expertise in that certain area. So if you're going to set out, let's say, a live webinar, how much time do you really need to put in from the time you start to, make it known that you're going to do a webinar and the day the webinar comes? I mean, is that a month? Is that 3 weeks? I mean, what's the ample amount of time to get enough buzz around that live webinar that you're going to see some fruit to that tree? Okay,
so if you've already got your content ready and you know what you're going to be saying in the webinar, and you're kind of set up from that perspective, then in order to kind of get an audience there, if you're doing a paid campaign, you could probably achieve that within a week or a couple of weeks. It's actually relatively quickly. I mean, we've seen campaigns where, on the same day, well, you should be expecting on the same day, even for your first attendees to be signing up. But then depending on how much you want to spend each day will kind of change how much time you have to wait, essentially. So if you're doing a paid webinar, I think you can get an audience together in a couple of weeks. I think if you're doing it with your own email list, you might already have a community that's following you, your LinkedIn list, for example, network as well, for example. So that could be much faster. So if you're kind of inviting those people out, you maybe also do it even in the same week as when you send out the invitations. Organic, that's a different area. You probably would want to kind of put at least about a month of time of planning before you want to host an actual live event.
Yeah, and I think that's really great advice. And I've tried that, on both sides. I've tried the organic growth, and I've tried the, with my list, and certainly the organic is a little bit more difficult. And a lot of people will say to me, as I guess, again, I'm an expertise TV user, but one of the things that people will say to me is, how many people do you need to have in an organic webinar that you find it to be successful? And my comment to them is, even if it's one person, it's successful, because that's one more person that you reached than you would have before. And so if I ask you that, I mean, it's got to be true that regardless of how many people come to your webinar, we've got to look at it as a success.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think also that's really important that you highlight that. At the beginning, you should be planning just to have a handful of people each time, because you also want to be perfecting your content. Your first webinar is not going to be perfect. There's going to be a lot of mistakes. You're going to have problems. Things never turn out, even if you rehearse it, they never turn out quite how you might have imagined them to be. So you should kind of set aside that maybe your first 3 webinars are really like kind of your training ground, even with a live audience. And if you get like 5 to 10 people in each one, that's perfect. It also gives you a chance to, after the webinar, send out some, it's really, really important. And it's amazing the feedback you get if after the webinar you send out a survey, ask the audience what they thought about the content, if it helped them, if it didn't help them, if it was relevant or not. So really, I'd say at the beginning, you want no more than about 10 people in your webinar while you're actually really learning. What we kind of see really across the board, and it's pretty true, is around 30 to 40% of people show up to your webinar. So you need to kind of be aiming for maybe 30 signups and get 10 people to arrive. There's various tactics that you can use in order to kind of increase that number. And again, that's all about kind of keeping a steady flow of content to them while they're waiting for your webinar to start. But essentially, yeah, that's a good number to start with, around 5 to 10.
I think as we begin this webinar, you talked about maybe the first couple are going to be training. What do you find that maybe are the biggest, I don't want to say mistakes, but the biggest challenges that people have as they're starting off on this new, maybe this new area of doing a webinar that we can kind of help them polish as they start? Because I really like how you said that. I mean, kind of set aside the first 3 almost like a training. What are they going to hope to learn in those 3?
Okay, well, the biggest mistake is probably people actually don't rehearse it. So it's amazing the number of people that actually go into their first webinar and they've spent money on getting an audience there and they haven't even rehearsed it, or they haven't fully rehearsed it. And then it does kind of go into, the problem with that is as soon as a problem does appear, it goes into meltdown, because it's like live audience, it's a new territory, and that kind of can be very, very frightening at the time. So So the other reasons that are really kind of big mistakes. One is not getting enough engagement at the during the actual live webinar. So it can be like very kind of off-putting if there aren't many people there to kind of view it as a big performance where it's one direction. And actually, in fact, it's just a larger conversation with a group of people. So you need to really draw them in to the webinar while you're broadcasting, and ask them very simple, open questions just to get the dialogue going, because that is really what a webinar is about. A webinar isn't a presentation, and that's why a live webinar is so exciting, is because it's a chance for the audience to engage with the host, and that's what the audience loves. They post a question up, and then the host responds to it. That makes it a really exciting experience for them. So it's critical that you get that engagement going in the webinar, because that will keep the audience there and it will keep them excited about you. And then finally, the follow-up. This is a huge mistake that most customers don't neglect, and that really is about jumping to conclusions about your webinar that are completely wrong because you haven't actually spoken to your audience afterwards. So it's really important. So even if it's only 3 or 4 people, to just message your audience one by one and ask them for feedback about the webinar. And that's the only way you're going to learn. And you'll be completely surprised. The amount of times we've done a webinar and then thought, okay, they didn't like the product or they didn't like some aspect of it. And then we had the follow up and we actually hear from them, oh no, I'm really interested. I just need some time to kind of think about this, or we just learn a lot more about the customer. Or this is a little bit too early before I'm ready to do X, Y, Z. So you just learn a lot more about your customer, your client, and that allows you then to shape your next webinar to be far more successful.
Yeah, that's really good that you said that. I mean, one of the things that we do when we stand in front of people and we speak is we always, maybe we send out an evaluation to say, what did you think of the content? Tell me how I could do a better job as a speaker. But I think now we've got to take that from the classroom and move that to the online platform. And I didn't even think about that. I think that that's a great suggestion. But now when we finally get to the point of, maybe getting a customer or maybe getting a coaching client, I mean, how difficult now is it going to be engaged with them to help them through the process of, of their coaching? I mean, so when we think about now interacting with them one-on-one or maybe in a group coaching session, however, the client wants to do that, because I certainly have clients that I utilize where I'm teaching a leadership team. I'm not just teaching that one-on-one individual. I mean, how difficult now is it to engage with them, and what tips do you have to make that successful?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's the really exciting part about what online coaching can kind of provide now. It's kind of limitless in terms of the sort of solution that you come up with. Every coach is different, and how they approach, types of clients that they have and how they approach them, is different, and different clients respond to different types of coaching, and different coaches want to coach in different sort of ways. So the real kind of approach is to kind of work out what is the most successful way for my clients to kind of reach their next level or reach their goal. And either is it working in a group format? So obviously then you have opportunities to do group seminars online. And again, the big advantage with online is accessibility and convenience. And that's really what you're solving by doing things online. You're allowing your clients to reach you far more easily with a lot less hassle, and show up to your kind of workshops or your seminars, or consume, say, for example, you're producing a course or a video course, and they want to consume that at a time when they're not busy, and they maybe they're traveling to work, whatever it is. That's really the advantage of what coaching online gives you, to make sure that your clients can really kind of develop at the kind of speed that they want to. But in addition, you can also have a lot more engagement with them during that process. So the feedback that they can give you when they're consuming your content is also very valuable to help you understand where they are in the process and see how you might need to kind of adapt your own coaching to kind of make them more successful. So they're just a few ideas of how you can approach it.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, because one of the things that I took from that answer was that we may have to change our style of coaching based on this new platform. But even as we do it with our individual clients, we may have to do that individually as well. So it's like a whole new process of learning. And I got to tell you, Alex, I think you've set out some really great ideas for the people who are out there to talk about how to develop your online coaching footprint. So I want to thank you for taking time out and sharing that knowledge with us.
My pleasure, Chris. I've really enjoyed going through that all with you. And that's been excellent. Thank you very much for having me on.
Well, I think that one of the things is I think you have a lot to share, so please come back with us and let's go ahead and talk about coaching. But I do want to take a couple minutes, Alex, because since we are talking about an online footprint, you do have that platform of Expertise TV. And for the folks that may not be familiar with Expertise TV, maybe just a couple minutes of what the platform is and how they can find it to see. And there is a free platform that you could utilize. So for the people who are out there that may not be familiar with it, maybe just a little bit about the platform, how they can find it.
Sure. So the platform's expertise.tv. And it's built. It initially was developed for coaching, so it's got a full coaching platform, allows you to do video call coaching, exchange content and messenger and all this sort of interaction with your clients. But then on top of that, we've built all the marketing and business tools that you need in order to, first of all, to reach your new potential clients, develop content for them to consume, create a community area where you can nurture your relationship with them at scale. So you can have hundreds of thousands of people in your community consuming your content, and then from that stage, you're able to convert them into clients. So there's various ways for you to monetize the interest, the demand that you're creating in your community into either if you want to kind of monetize through selling courses or actual one-to-one coaching or through a workshop or whatever the solution is that's right for your business. And then finally, as I said, you've got the whole coaching back end that allows you to deliver your services. So we've really built it in mind for a coach that wants to operate a fully fledged online coaching business, from lead generation to generating demand to the monetization, and then to deliver amazing coaching solutions to their clients. Basically, as Chris said, we start off with a free webinar platform that allows you to test it all out, and you can just use it for webinars if you like. And that allows you to get a feel for it, get comfortable with the platform, and then decide how you want to kind of grow your online footprint.
Awesome. I got to tell you, Alex, what a great show this has been. Promises you'll come back, share some more about developing as an online coach, because I think that the audience out there really got some great content, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to visit with us.
No, that's a pleasure all mine, Chris. Thank you very much for having me on. I've really enjoyed that. Thank you.
And for everybody out there, it's time to put the wraps on another Ultimate Leadership podcast. Keep those letters coming in. Let us know what you want to hear, and we're going to bring that content to you. So I'm Chris Saballero. Until next time, I look forward to chatting with everyone real soon.
Thank you for joining us. The Ultimate Leadership Podcast is a production of ChrisSaballero.com. You can interact with us by email at ultimateleadership16@gmail.com. All rights reserved.